Today I'm going to take a look at birdtrader online here in the UK. I'm going to talk through some of the adverts on there, give you some ideas about the certain birds on there from my point of view, and include my opinion of what birdtrader is, because it's a bit divided, it seems. And this could be really useful if you're a seasoned falconer and you want to know what I think about birdtrader, but it's also really useful if you're thinking of getting your first bird, or you're thinking about getting into keeping birds of prey and you want to know how to navigate such a website. So we'll start by typing in birdtrader.co.uk. It's come up in my memories there, of course. So what we do is we're going to go on birds of prey here. I'm going to click view all. Now, I've not been on here in, I don't know, probably a few months, I think. Sometimes I just go on just to see what's happening, see what people are selling, because it does seem to be the leading website to actually look for birds of prey that are for sale. So at the very top here, we've got a wanted ad for a female spectacled owl. That's no doubt as a breeding bird there. We've got here, pair of rednecks available, proven £1,000. Again, if it's a pair, probably breeding, even adverts for day-old chicks. Let's have a look at this one then. Large 2023 female Saker. So a young Saker falcon. They are one of the largest types of falcon. A great flying bird, actually, if you want something big. Some falcons are huge. We've got some photos here. So we have 4 2023 parent-reared female Sakers, and they've got the Latin in there in brackets as well. There are some open options here as to what you would want a bird like that for. If you're looking for a large falcon for either hunting or what I do, which is display work, that's actually pretty good. What you've got there, though, of course, is a falcon that is parent-reared, so you would actually have to man that bird up and train it from what is essentially a wild temperament bird, and that can be ideal for you for hunting, not so good for display work. Doesn't mean you can't get a good display bird out of the old-fashioned manning process, but for me personally, I like falcons that are hand-reared or semi-hand-reared in some way, not something I personally want to get myself. Let's have a look down, see what there is in owls. If I go down here, so there's loads of falcons available, which tends to be the case, and usually you'd see some hawks at some point, but loads and loads of falcons, quite a lot of young ones as well. Let's go to the next page here. Rosie the eagle owl. This is interesting because the name's on there as well, so it's kind of personal. £100 or nearest offer, sounds about right. Okay, when it comes to owls on birdtrader, there's probably 3 categories. There's one, a baby owl, an owlet, something you can hand rear, and of course if you're hand rearing them, you really want to get them from 2 or 3 weeks old so that they're not fully grown by the time you get them, and hand rear them the best you can. And the other categories would be an adult but otherwise trained hand reared bird. And you can get some really good ones, which I think this is one of those actually. The third category would be a untamed owl, adult owl, and that's only good for breeding, and even then maybe not good for breeding. And essentially if you want a nice tame flying owl, you've got to hand rear it. That's kind of the rule we go on. I'm not going to say it's impossible to man up an owl, but it's not far off it, in my opinion. So, Rosie is 16, very loving. So, not the best grammar, I think 16 years old. Rosie is 16, very loving and loves interacting. Unfortunately, I can't give her the time she needs at all. I've got papers and definitely good to see her go. So you think they're, caring owner. If you look at the photo, you can see actually that it looks like a really great owl, in good condition. I can't see the anklets it's wearing there or any of the furniture. I can't see the feet, but it looks pretty good. And it looks like they live on a residential street. And you can sometimes get an idea of the area that they've been living in, give you an idea of the sort of person who might be selling the bird, along with the sort of details to put down. I always see bad grammar as not a great sign of maybe intelligence, but I mean, that's just me. If I was looking for a tame eagle owl to handle and fly, I would be interested in this. I'd maybe go down, do some handling, but even better if you can see it fly. But if it's a really tame eagle owl, and it's not hard to know if one is tame or not, but I have had that experience, I guess, then really there's nothing there I couldn't train to fly. So interesting, that one. Let's have a look here. Just below it, Goldie Steppes Eagle. So this is a golden eagle crossed with a steppe eagle. Why would you want to cross that? Well, the Steppes eagle is quite a placid bird, the golden eagle far more aggressive. Now, if you're doing display work like I do, you don't really want to have too aggressive a bird of prey, especially a large eagle, because there's a risk it would attack someone's dog nearby or something like that. So putting a bit of steps in there, in theory, calms the bird down a little bit. What I like about BirdTrader is it gives you areas like Welsh Pool you've probably never heard of, and it's a case of searching on Google Maps and seeing whereabouts they are. They practically give hamlet names out. Now you'll see here it says Article 10. Now not all birds of prey need an Article 10, which is a piece of yellow paperwork, to buy them or sell them legally, but many do, and it's worth checking out the latest list from the government, from DEFRA, on which birds do need it. And in the case of this, interestingly, a Steppes eagle would not require an A10, but because it's half golden eagle, it does require an A10. What you really want on any advert is as much information as possible, as much history. If I ever sell or move a bird on, then I always want to give as much history as I possibly can, because that's best for the bird's welfare and longevity of life, if the person buying it knows what the issues are. And I rather like it for my own reputation as well. No one can come back and say, oh, he sold this bird, he said it was a fantastic flyer and it's terrible or whatever. So you're giving them all the right information. Now obviously the further you scroll down, the older the adverts get. Barn owl, 5 months old. So this is another, look, this is how cheap they are, £70. Liverpool, interesting picture, probably one they've taken themselves. Again, not a lot of information, 2 lovely barn owls left to go, 1 male, 1 female. The time of the year does change the landscape of a website like this and the listings that are on it. So in the spring and summer, you get a lot more baby things ready for hand rearing, both in owl and hawk and falcon, etc. In the winter, you get a few more hunting birds sometimes, if people wanted to go out hunting with their bird and they realise they haven't got the time for it anymore. And you probably get a lot more sort of late breeders like there are there as well, and that's something to be careful of, because sometimes someone might have a baby owl they've not sold off that hatched back in the summer and it's still with them, and if it hasn't been out flying and handled and things like that, then it's probably not going to be very tame, and I am always wary of it myself if I'm ever looking for a bird, which luckily isn't too often. Let's just go up to page 3, see what we can find. Someone said to me the other day, do you remember page 3 back in the day, in those newspapers? I said, I think I've come across it. Anyway, sorry, that's not what you're here for, bad dad jokes. Let's have a look at this one to finish with. Here's another crossbreed, Coopers across African goshawk. Goshawks are beautiful birds, great for hunting. Personally, I don't think they're great for display work because they are just so aggressive. They're quite a quick hawk as well. And there's a nice picture there feeding. I don't know if it's something that's caught or not. And you get these subcategories here, you get all your basic info. But unfortunately, there's not on this one a lot of information. It just says what it is. If you find yourself in a position where you're ready to take on your bird, you've got an enclosure built, you've got all your equipment, you've done all the learning you need to do, and you're ready to get it, it's not actually a bad place to look. There are some falconers out there, it tends to be the old-fashioned, more seasoned falconers who don't like it, and that's because there were other directories in the past, or they've only ever gone to breeders they know, or people they know. But this isn't a terrible site. You do get a few people on there who don't really know what they're talking about when they're selling birds, but they're quite rare. And if you know what to look for, then you can kind of avoid any dodgy people on there. Whereas as a general rule, the more information and detail on the advert, the better. Social media used to be a way of finding birds of prey, but you can't buy or sell animals on social media nowadays anyway, and even the Facebook groups for birds of prey and things, they seem to have gone really in decline and kind of been hidden away a little bit now. People don't use them quite as much. I think that's partly because you get quite a lot of people in there who are anti-falconry, or they're just catfishers in general, and it's just a very nice kind of area to be in. It's a bit more of a face-to-face thing nowadays, if anything, or at least pick up the phone to a local breeder if not. So I could spend hours on this website, but I think that's hopefully given you an idea of the sort of thing to look out for when you're scrolling through good old BirdTrader.